Hello everyone, Artist Charles Wolf here. Welcome back to another painting lesson video. This is going to be part 1 of 2 because this took me about an hour to create and I think that's just too long for a video. I'm going to cut it in half, do about a half hour of painting for you, part 1, and another half hour for part 2, coming out later this week or early next week, depending on how long it takes me to edit this together. I'm going to begin today with a stencil brush. Haven't used one of these in a while. Kind of round bristles. They're quite firm and they're great for scrubbing in a simple background layer, laying in some background paint just to get some color onto the canvas. Mark out in a very basic way the primary colors that are going to underpin this composition. This is a technique I've been using for a while now to begin my landscapes. Helps me to establish some layers of paint. Some of the yellow will show through, some of the blue, and that's going to add more richness and depth to this acrylic painting. The white of the canvas showing through is quite cold and will make your paintings look more washed out. Now you can see that I've done a bit of sketching on this 9 by 12 inch canvas, and I've marked out a lot of the main cloud formations. I've marked out where the water is, where the waves are. Because this is a complex scene as far as getting the proportions and perspective correct, I wanted to make sure that I began with having my perspective lines already put in that I did first off camera. It's a lot of just getting a ruler out, scraping across, getting things to look straight, and copying loosely and sketching it out from a photograph. Today, my palette is my standard palette. I have Cadmium Red, Cadmium Yellow, Titanium White, Mars Black, and of course Cobalt Blue. I've put in some of the blue now here, right in the back in the distance here. There are some marine layer clouds back there, so we need to have those put in dark. Above it is the light of the sun rising, that's the yellow. You get the slightly more muted red reflection below, yellow-red, in the water, and then everything else is just kind of a dirty gray-blue color. Here's some Titanium White, Cobalt Blue, Mars Black, and Cadmium Red. Using a round brush today, we'll be using this a lot in this piece. Mixing those colors together, getting kind of a purplish gray tinge. The blue and the red make purple, the white and the black make gray. Blend that all together, you get kind of a purple gray. Touch more of the Cobalt Blue to make it more blue than purple. Takes me a minute to get the initial color correct, or how I like, and then we can get to painting. Quickly layering over, here is that gray mix top left corner, and put in this high, dark shadowed cloud. In this piece, the water is rolling high up onto this beach. I am standing right on the water's edge when I took the photograph, so everything that you can see in the picture has a sheen of water across it, which means everything's reflective. So anything that you do above needs to be reflected below. And in this composition, because I knelt down and got really close to the water's edge for the perspective to make everything seem more epic, the clouds on the bottom are distorted and are stretched. Partly due to perspective and partly due to the fact that you're seeing more of the sky below in the water than I'm seeing above. 1/3, 2/3 is the proportion that I'm striving for. The top of the clouds, the distant marine layer clouds, are about 2/3 up my canvas, and that makes for a stronger composition. As I'm painting here, I'm putting a lot of paint on my brush, and I'm blending back into the darker paint. So I'll start dark, then go out a good ways with the lighter color, and blend back into the darker color. If you take the lighter color and put it on top of the darker color, you're going to lose it. So you have to put some space and blend backwards. Don't lose your darks as you're painting along here. And I'm saying that more for myself than anyone else. I tend to overblend things. I like things to have a very clean, blended sheen to it. Here's a little bit more of the blue-white mix. Making some lighter colors here. Again, I'm putting some darker color down first, and then I'm going to come back in with more of the white, and eventually some of the yellow and the orange, and we'll blend back up into this gray color I'm putting down now, this bluish gray, and it will all come together. More white now. Didn't really let the underpainting completely dry, so that white paint may grab some of the yellow underneath. And if I'm not completely covering what's below, and some of the yellow shows through, that's absolutely okay. We want that light yellow to really give us the feeling of this sunrise. More white in the middle. Again, working on this softening the transition from the gray to the lighter yellow and eventually orange. The photograph that I based this painting on was taken at Cape Canaveral National Seashore down in Florida. Stood there on the beach getting quite bit by the sand fleas. Don't recommend it. But the sky was stunning and the beach was radiant that morning, so well worth the effort, I think. If you'd like to see me work the study for this piece, you can check out my digital art playlist, and in there is the digital version of the same painting. And in that painting video, you can see the original photograph, actually. Don't normally show my original photographs because I like to change things, and I'm not all about trying to make things photorealistic or sticking to the colors that are in a photo. I often will change them based on how I'm feeling or a mood or the way the colors happen to be blending that day. I'm never striving for it to match one-to-one. It's never a goal of mine. I always want it to have sort of its own characteristic, and it should look like a painting, not a photograph, to me. I highly admire artists who can do the photorealistic paintings. I think it's phenomenal. If you're someone able to do that and has the ability to do so, that's fantastic. Hats off to you. I am not someone who has the patience to create photorealistic art, so I don't even try to stick with Impressionism, much more expressive in my colors than is sometimes realistic. I'm really using this white to soften and blend. It's a very pastel, light morning, so a lot of the white is justified, and the darkness of these clouds are going to contrast nicely with the white. Normally I say be careful with how much white you're putting onto the canvas, but in this case, it needs to be quite light, so it's okay. I am desaturating the color with this white. Okay, making some coral mix, titanium white, cadmium red, and cadmium yellow. That red is strong, so not too much of it. This coral mix is going to be the orange I was referring to earlier. Again, all my colors are desaturated due to the adding of the white. Kind of a pastel feel, soft and wispy. And again, whatever you do above, make sure that you reflect below. You can see that I'm just tossing it in. I'm going to be putting other layers on top of this. It doesn't need to be careful, just generally needs to be where it needs to go. And then we can refine with the other layers. You can always cover up paint, acrylic paint especially. It's very easy to layer over more paint and get rid of things. So don't feel like you have to get it right the first time. You just have to keep trying and playing with it, and eventually it will look correct. Continuing to use this round brush, here's a mixture of the titanium white and the cobalt blue. Need some more blue through here. Make this transition smoother. Lots of quick blending horizontal motion for the sky today. Titanium white, Mars black, and cobalt blue. Make a gray mix. There are some darker clouds up here on the top right as well. We want to make sure those are coming forward as well. Another bit over here, a little lower down, touch more of the white because they are more desaturated by the light behind them. A little bit darker, up to the corner. Just lightly dancing my bristles across the canvas there. Kind of jabbing and dotting along to get those cloud formations in place. Mixing together titanium white, Mars black, cadmium red, and cobalt blue to make that dark purple-gray mix again. Much more purple this time. Good helping of white. Again, we need it to be less saturated in color, less intense. Touch more of the blue. It's time to start putting in this marine layer of clouds. Right along the horizon line, straight across, here in the middle of the piece, in the background there. For these clouds, I'm following the basic shapes that I have marked out in pencil already. but I'll make adjustments and changes as I go along here, as I usually do. Like I said before, I'm really not tied to the photograph and making it match 100%. Close, for me, is good enough. I'm really the only person who sees the original photographs most of the time. I will share them from time to time on my Facebook page and on Instagram. Follow me there. If you do, you'll often see sneak peeks of future paintings, as I will use my photography work to inspire my paintings. But like I said, I never copy 100%. See, that's a mistake right there. I'll point it out. It's too sharp. It looks too fake. It looks too much like a mountain because of the ridgeline. It needs to be more messy. And I'm going to fix that right now by brushing over and doing a bit of scumbling. A little bit more here, but we're going to need to adjust that right hand edge. It's rising too steeply, and it needs some work. Clouds, after all, are fairly ununiform. More Cobalt Blue and Cadmium Red, making some more of a purple hue, a little bit darker as well, as it contrasts with the light directly behind, as the sun is not quite up yet. It's pre-dawn. Okay, clean my brush off now, and back here with some titanium white. The cloud was a little bit too high, so we're just going to blend over it, and white will cover it up. Mixing together some titanium white and cadmium yellow. Use those two colors, just again blending over. And you can see how easy it is to cover up your mistakes, make adjustments. Acrylic painting is so forgiving. One of the things I love about it, you can change things, make adjustments as you go. Here's my light blue and purple mix, just making some adjustments on these clouds, trying to make them a little bit more wispy, especially through here. Okay, back to a clean brush, more titanium white. Just going to soften and blend. And mix together some cobalt blue and the white for that light blue sky mixture. And just clean this up a little more. Just blending here. Now my regular viewers will know that I normally start at the top of the painting and work my way down, farthest thing from me, the background, to my foreground. But because everything is reflected, while I have the paint color already on my brush, might as well throw some of it down in the foreground on the reflection area so that it is reflected correctly. It's harder to match color with acrylic, especially if you're doing multiple colors and blending a lot like I am. So it's easier to do it as you're going along. And so I'm going to try to do that here. Take some of this cobalt blue, gray, white mixture and toss it down below. Now it can be a little bit darker in the reflection, closer to us, and water tends to darken things a little bit, although with its vantage point, it's not going to darken much. You can see how intense that yellow is, and some white will slow that down, and that orange color will recede. More blue here, working on the bottom of the canvas and working inwards. Gray mix, touch of the cadmium red to push it into the purple. Adding more white to blend and desaturate the colors. More white. Okay, titanium white and cadmium yellow. A touch of the cadmium yellow. Blending over the orange here, just softening it. Needs to be there, but not so intensely. It's all part of the process. Put paint down, move it around, cover it up, make adjustments. We'll get there by degrees. Coral mix, titanium white, yellow and red. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Would love it if you would support me and my artwork by subscribing and watching my videos each and every week. I appreciate all the views, the likes, the comments. Every time someone shares my work, it helps me grow this channel, and I greatly appreciate the support. I love painting and sharing my paintings, and this has been a great opportunity for me to do so. YouTube is a fantastic platform for sharing this kind of content, and I appreciate each of you who watch on a regular basis. Hope that you enjoy the content that I'm creating. I have some really cool new pieces coming up, a few new abstracts with some new techniques that I haven't done before on the channel. Keep your eyes out for that. But first we're going to finish this part 1 and later with part 2 of this painting lesson on this beautiful sunrise over Cape Canaveral. A little more of the coral mix, more red this time. Or orange in general. dark purple mix, Cobalt Blue, Red, Cadmium Red, Mars Black, and Titanium White. More blue and less white. Start to put in the reflections of the marine layer clouds that are stretched out here in the foreground. Again, I'm following my pencil lines that I put in at the beginning before I turned on the camera. If you would like to do this from a photograph yourself, a couple of tricks and tips. Look at where the horizon is. How high up the photograph is it? Is it halfway? 2/3 up? 3/4 up? Make sure that your horizon line on your canvas is matching. What's the biggest object? What's the tallest object? Does it go off the top of the canvas? If so, how far over right and left is it? The biggest object for me is the reflection of this marine layer clouds here stretched out due to perspective, and I need to know how low did it go on the right hand side in the photograph, and I tried to figure that out, and once I had a good idea I marked it in pencil, and that's my process. I really just look at the edges, the frame of the photo, and then try to look where the main structures are hitting the edges. If you get your edges right, that gives you a pretty good amount of information and will help your perspective and your proportions to work out better. Now there are subtleties in the interior, and that can be trickier to figure out. You can kind of triangulate it by looking at how far left and right is something versus how up and down it is. Try to figure out, like on a grid, where that would fall. But that's a process that I find takes time and practice to get good at. Here is some Cobalt Blue, some Titanium White. Blending here. Here, right on the horizon, there's a lot of light blue happening where the water is shining and sparkling in the sunlight. So I want to make sure that we get that in as well. Nearly done with this half. If you'd like to support me and my art, you can do so by buying a painting on Etsy, etsy.com/shop/impulsiveartistry. You can follow me on Twitter @impulsiveartistry, on Facebook, Impulsive Artistry, on Instagram, Impulsive Artistry, and be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos. Hit that bell icon if you'd like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. New uploads typically go up on Tuesday right now. I'll usually do 1 to 2 uploads a week, depending on my schedule. And depending on the complexity of the painting of the week, sometimes editing takes twice as long, sometimes it happens really fast. Dark purple and titanium white. to my purple mix, just fixing some of the shapes of this cloud, softening the blue a little bit more. Back to my filbert brush, light blue mix. And of course, as you're painting, don't forget the edges of your canvas. Just makes it easier to do that as you're going along. Thank you so much for watching. Be back soon with part 2. Okay, there's the final piece.